Hi, Pat the Podcast Editor here. What does it take to make advertising entertaining? Well, on today's episode, Dan talks about the Knowlton method of hooking people in with creative and thumb-stopping marketing.
It is a bit of a buzzword, but I'd class it as advertainment. Entertaining advertising.
Mm-hmm. We look at the methods you can use to really engage people, not just sell to them. And it all starts with tackling the big questions.
What are 30-year-old mums from Thanet talking about when they're picking the kids up from school?
But it's more than just thinking about 30-year-old mums from Thanet. It's using that insight to create something relevant and interesting for the core demographic. And today we're going to get a glimpse of what that might look like.
We got an apple on a beach and then filmed it like it was a wild animal and had a David Attenborough voiceover talk about it like it was a wild animal.
So what can a bit of advertainment do for you? Stay tuned to find out. Right, let's get the show on the road. This is episode 69 of the Business Anchors podcast.
We're just a couple of business anchors. Welcome to the Business Anchors podcast. This jingle is slightly too long. This jingle is slightly too long.
This is a very intriguing podcast title, Dan. What on earth is it all about?
Well, I recently did a keynote session at a virtual event called Cambridge Social Media Day and spent a long time preparing it, and it went pretty well. So I thought, why not turn it into a podcast episode?
Wow. So this is the sort of value people normally pay to go and see Dan on stage delivering a keynote. They get for free just for being a listener of the Business Anchors podcast.
Yeah,
great.
Exactly.
And what's great for listeners as well is I'm basically playing the part of the listener and just asking you questions throughout that they'll want to know.
Yeah.
So I don't have to be in it much.
No, which is, we've seen from other episodes, when you talk less, we get more downloads. So
yeah, it's weird.
I don't know what the pattern is there.
It's counterintuitive because you wouldn't think that would be the case because I'm so interesting and you're so boring.
Yeah.
But, on that note, I'll stop talking.
Yeah.
So why do we... I'm not stopping talking. I'm asking a question.
Go on,
again.
ask the question.
Sorry, okay. So why do we need to forget everything we've ever learned about marketing, Dan?
So I think this... I'll start with a story. This goes back to when we used to... Remember when we first started and we tried loads of different types of marketing? I posted a video of a beached whale on our YouTube channel. We had lots of very badly designed images that we tweeted, wrote blogs and stuff. Do you remember those days?
Yeah, some of those images we tweeted were worse than the beached whale we posted.
Exactly.
Which isn't even a marketing technique. So
exactly. And traditionally, I think when we started, again, this whole forget everything you know is basically saying what we should do as well. Because when we started, we very much focused on we're marketing because we want to sell more stuff. So it was very much focused on what we want. We want to sell more stuff. Look at us. We can help you with your marketing. When really, eventually, we learned that it should be the other way round. And there's a bit of a story behind it. Do you remember? So we did all this rubbish marketing. So we did the beached whale on YouTube.
Well, you're really selling our business here, Dan.
I know. And when preparing this episode, I thought, is this a good idea, us saying this? But we're always honest with you listeners. So when we started, we did do lots of rubbish stuff. To try and test and see what on earth worked with marketing.
You only know it's rubbish once you tested it, don't you?
Exactly. So we did lots of bad marketing. Some of it worked okay. Remember in the early days, we used to create lots of educational articles that did quite well.
Yeah.
But in 2017, we tried something completely new and innovative that changed the direction our business went in and has kind of helped us come up with this podcast title, which was when we did that testimonials video. Do you remember?
I do remember because we had a great time shooting it, and it's one of the videos that for years was mentioned to me by people that, oh, I remember seeing you from that thing. So yeah,
I even mentioned it in a LinkedIn post the other day, and someone said, I remember that. And it was like 5 years ago.
Do you know what my favourite line from that was? Actually, you explain what it was?
Let me explain
first.
the video first. So we wanted to do a testimonials video where we got our customers to get on camera, we'd go and do an interview with them and basically get them to say nice stuff about working with us. Now, that's a good piece of content in the sense of it helps build trust and credibility with the audience, right? Yep. But we knew that it's boring. Like, who would want to watch a 5-minute video of our customers saying, oh yeah, these guys are great?
I guess that's the problem, like you said. That's just what we want people to hear and not thinking about what they want.
Exactly. So what we did was we came up with a creative approach to actually think of what the audience wanted first before we were trying to basically sell our services. So we did shoot interviews with our customers.
Yep.
But what we also did was we dressed up as different characters and played pretend customers of our own and commented on what it's like to work with us.
Yeah.
So we dressed up in lots of weird outfits, wigs, coats, Dad's weird suits and ties.
Yeah. We looked great.
And we basically came up with these witty characters, and then we cut the video so it would be clips of our actual customers, and then it would be like Lloyd looking like an idiot with a wig on, pretending to be one of our customers, saying like, "Yeah, that Lloyd guy's great."
Yeah, entertaining thing. Can I tell you my favourite line now?
Tell me your favourite line.
Okay, so I was obviously playing someone who'd been to some sort of training session with you, and I remember it because people always mentioned it to me. I'm building it up so it'll be a disappointment when you hear it.
Yeah.
But it was...
How do you remember this as well? This is literally 5 years ago.
What did I think of the training from Dan in 3 words? The training was... Oh. Yeah. I still, every time I hear see that line, I laugh.
I remember us being in our parents' lounge filming this, and you had a tash on that was falling off slightly, and Lloyd was commenting on what it was like to be in this training that we were delivering, and I couldn't, when you were saying it changed the world.
You had to go out the room, didn't you? You couldn't.
My God.
Yeah.
I was literally in tears.
So lots of fun. That was a real memorable moment for our business, I think.
Yes, but the reason we're telling that story is because we then posted that and on our Facebook, which was the main platform we were using at the time.
Yeah.
And it got like 50 comments, 3,000 views, and like 50 likes or whatever. And at the time, to us, that was pretty much viral, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When nothing was working, 50 comments with everyone saying, "This is brilliant."
Yeah. When we were starting out and just the two of us and trying to spread the word of the stuff we were doing, that was really, really helpful in what we were trying to achieve.
And also, it generated leads and new business. And the really clever part was it didn't just generate those sales, it also generated like positive sentiment towards our brand. People were commenting saying, "This is amazing, please create more like this," when really it was ultimately a piece of sales content, which is like weird because normally sales-based content is less, people like less because they don't like being sold to. But we came up with this formula where you create a piece of content that sells stuff and everyone loves it and comments on it and says how brilliant it is and tags their friends. And that was where we were like, wow, this type of marketing works.
Yeah, and we've spoken about this kind of technique a lot because it's kind of what we've been known for and what we've tried to achieve for our clients over a few years now. Because a lot of people can do one or the other. They can produce content that tries to convert people, like, right, this is how we can try and sell to this person. Or they can produce content that's entertaining or educational or something, and people actually like watching, but it doesn't do a good job at actually selling their business or achieving what they want to achieve. So managing to do that in one is a real, the kind of real golden egg that we tried. Golden egg, don't know why I said that, but that's what it is. And
I remember when, so we had that success with that one video. That was the moment Lloyd and I sat down like, wow, we're onto something here. We then went on to create, and we still do, a whole range of kind of entertaining content that sells, like the marketing sketches we've created, weird stuff like Lloyd chasing me in a clown's outfit, and a whole, like, lots of things got taken the piss out of the marketing industry with being cleverly scripted so it sells our services. There's a whole range of stuff. If you look on my LinkedIn or our socials, it's all there. But we proved it worked for us, but then we had to prove it worked for other people because that's how our business model worked. Like, we can help you with your marketing. So do you remember the first customer we tried this with? I think it was like back in 2017, was a gym from Kent.
Yeah.
And they actually got in touch with us and said, "Love your videos, please do something similar for us." So we came up with this whole concept where we created these entertaining, kind of like gym bro sketches where we tapped into culturally relevant situations that gym people would get. Like, we had the guy who was like grunting in the gym, and it was cleverly scripted, so it tapped into those relatable situations. And then we basically used that creative and ran Facebook ads to target people in the local area to get them to go to the gym. And in the copy, was like sales-based content, kind of like, here's reasons why you should join our gym, tick, tick, tick. And we ran this ad campaign and it worked. And we were like,
what?
It generated, so at the time, this is a lot for us, but it generated like over 500,000 15-second video views. The return on ad spend, it generated a 16.1 return on ad spend at the time. This is 2017. So £16.10 return for every pound they invested. And we were like, oh my God, this actually works. And that was the first, do you remember? That was the first customer we did this with.
I mean, relative to now, that was a relatively low budget kind of project and campaign. So it was actually us two doing the video shoot, not like now where we've got a big team of people that go and do it. And so it kind of proved that on a smaller scale, lower budget, it was achievable as well.
I remember you were really ill as well.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Lloyd woke up. Lloyd used to get this thing where he just got really achy and really ill.
Hang on. I used to get this thing. I was just ill once.
No, you are ill every now and again. But I remember you calling me and we were trying to get other people to do it with me. Didn't work out. And you powered through and you were so ill. But
I turned up and I said to Dan, look, this is going to be absolutely horrible for me, but I'm just going to try and pretend I'm okay and get through the day.
You pretended really well.
And basically did it all, got through it. At the end of the day, Dan just drove me home while I was like comatose in the car, like wrapped up in a blanket.
Oh, that was one of those days where like the memorable moment that we're glad we pulled through. So anyway, we tried it with them. It worked. Obviously, since 2017, we've since gone on to try and use this approach with tons of companies and had a lot of success. So, for example, like Wool, one of the longest running male grooming brands, we've worked on a whole range of campaigns over the last 3 years and got some amazing results. Millions of views, hundreds of £1,000s of track revenue. And we've done it with various other companies. And I think that was, we've proven this kind of model works. And this is what has led to me kind of prepping this keynote to deliver to, which is this episode, to talk about how other people can do that.
Mm-hmm. So what actually is the approach then? How would you describe it simply?
I've not done a good job of explaining it. So
I think you might have done, but I think I'm trying to ask what the listeners would be asking.
It is a bit of a buzzword, but I'd class it as advertainment. Entertaining advertising. Advertising that focuses on what your potential customers want first before you try and sell to them. What do your potential customers want when they're on social media? They want to be entertained. They want to consume something that they enjoy rather than seeing you there like, buy my rubbish product. So, yeah.
And not going so far that I think a lot of LinkedIn creators do
posting funny cat videos.
Just post funny videos that actually don't sell your business. Because that's sometimes it goes the other way and it's like vanity metrics. Loads of people like this stuff, but it doesn't achieve what it needs to.
And again, another weird story that you just reminded me of. The one moment I think we really realized that's important was our marketing channels in real life video, where, again, hats off to Lloyd. This was a brilliant script you wrote, and I still think it was one of our best videos, was where we basically did a job interview where different marketing channels were going to pitch like why they should get the job. So like there was SEO, leaflets, LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, YouTube, etc. And it was really cleverly scripted. Please go and watch that if you haven't. It's pinned on my LinkedIn profile. And in that script, it was very cleverly written to sell our services. So, for example, one of the characters being interviewed was me as myself, Dan, who was promoting advertainment. And it was really cleverly scripted to show why advertainment works so much better. And even one really clever bit in it, and this was something, we got about 15 leads from this and people mentioning this. In the script, when the video got into about 3 minutes, I actually kind of break out of what we're doing and I look at the camera and go, you're literally watching an advert for our agency and you're still watching it. Look at how good this marketing is and you're loving it. And then go back into the thing. It was something like that. It wasn't quite that, but it was
we call those light bulb moments. So the moments when people are watching stuff online that they're actually enjoying, and then you have that thing where it kind of goes in their mind of considering getting in touch and working with you, when actually they didn't really think about the fact they were watching an advert, and then it's like, oh wow, this is good.
And I remember, like, the easiest way to think about it is, and I explained this when I delivered this keynote in Romania at an event called Digitalium. Think of it like a Super Bowl ad. Think of it like a Christmas ad. You know, what does everyone get excited for around Christmas? Yes, seeing your family and spending time with them and stuff. But most people can't wait to see like the latest John Lewis ad or the latest Sainsbury's ad. Why are you laughing? It's true.
Oh, just imagining me. Oh, I can't wait to see the John Lewis ad.
No, I can't remember the exact data, but in the keynote I gave in Romania, I had data that showed how many people actually stayed in to watch that rather than going out on Christmas, around Christmas. And it was I don't remember what it was, so it's not useful now. But it was shocking.
Cool. Good facts.
So that's the way to think about it, like the Super Bowl ad style marketing, where it's entertaining and it sells a product or service. So that's what it is.
Nice.
Now onto the practical stuff.
Yeah, what actually makes this approach work?
Good question. So
Thanks. You wrote it for me to ask you.
You're ill, all right? I'll try to make this
sorry.
easy for you. So break it down into 6 things. I just put 7 fingers out and said 6 things. 6 things. So first of all, let's talk about what makes this work, and then let's talk about how you can apply it to your marketing. So 6 things that make it work. 1, it's relevant and relatable to the key decision maker you're trying to convince to do something. So this is like marketing 101. Who's your target market? And we always talk about this, but so many people just go surface level with their target market. So many people go like, who's your target market? 30-year-old female from Thanet, right? But that's not good enough. What you want to do is really understand, like, what does 30-year-old female from Thanet talk about with her mates when she's picking her kids up from school? Like 30-year-old female from Thanet, what does she in her like girls WhatsApp group when they're all like chatting and laughing and sharing videos? What videos are they sharing? What language are they using? You know, what are they talking about? It's understanding that deeper level of your target market rather than just where they're from and what their age is, because that's when you can start to create content that they'll share ultimately.
Nice.
And we did that with one of our wall campaigns. We had this traditional bloke who represented a traditional bloke, and we had lots of ways he was saying things in the script, and the way he was talking was really on point with that traditional bloke.
Relatable,
Exactly. The second one is what makes this type of approach work. It stands out and it breaks the norm, right? So if you look at a lot of Knowlton ads, so ads we've made for our clients, they don't look like traditional ads. They don't look like traditional marketing. So, for example, we did and you know this because you did it with me, but we did a campaign with Cameo Apples where we had we were tapping into like really topical TV shows and movies at the time. And at the time, David Attenborough launched a Netflix documentary called Our Planet, where he talked about our planet, and it was a traditional David Attenborough thing. We got an apple on a beach and then filmed it like it was a wild animal and had a David Attenborough voiceover talk about it like it was a wild animal.
Sounds absolutely mental.
Now, you don't see Pink Lady doing that.
No, you don't.
You don't see... What other ones are there?
Granny Smith.
Granny Smith doing that.
No.
So I guess my point is, if your marketing looks like everyone else in your industries, you're probably doing it wrong. And this is, how us as Knowlton have stood out from other agencies. We do things differently, and that's how it worked for us, and then that's what we do with our clients. So that's another thing. Stands out and breaks the norm, Lloyd.
Nice. Thank you, Dan.
And you know all this stuff already. I guess I'm talking to the listeners.
No, I'm enjoying it. Thank you for reminding me of all these things.
Good.
And I can speak on behalf of all the listeners listening on their commutes, whilst they're washing up, whilst they're
driving,
and same as commute, but yeah. And we're enjoying this so far. Please continue with the value-adding content.
Thank you. That's actually a really good segue to my next point 3, which is completely accidental, which is provide value and entertain before selling. So, for example, another example, we did a really cool video for a virtual business event called Let's Do This Live, which was run by a massive SaaS company in South America called Hotmart, and they teamed up with Andrew and Pete. They did this really cool event, and we made this whole video, which was really fun and entertaining. We had a Mr. Motivator lead character who was taking another character who represented a small business owner through this journey in these different rooms to represent this virtual event. And it was really fun, exciting, lots of funny, witty bits in it. And we focused on it being entertaining first before trying to sell the event. But the important thing is it still had bits in it that sold the event. Like, for example, one of my favourite bits was we wanted to communicate that this wasn't your standard boring event with boring speakers. So we actually had Lloyd play a cameo role where he was being a boring speaker, and then the lead character, who's actually an NFL football player, ran at Lloyd and took him out.
Not NFL.
Oh, not NFL.
That would mean he plays in the top league in America.
Okay,
he plays American football
American football
in the UK.
Lloyd,
I'm not downplaying how good he is, and if he's listening, I'm sure. Well, when you tackled me, it felt like you were very good at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, not NFL.
Okay, so that's point 3. Point 4 is what makes this work. Light bulb moments, as Lloyd mentioned earlier.
Because I know stuff.
Because you know stuff. Those moments where people are consuming your marketing and thinking, wow, I need this, and this is going to help me solve a problem. So ways you can do this is things like talking about case studies and how you've helped other people, and making your marketing relatable to the people you're trying to target, so that they're like, oh, I'm like that person and I've got that problem, that could help me. Point number 5, culturally relevant and timely. Something that we found works really well with client campaigns is when you're tapping into something that's relevant, like right now. That, you know, I mentioned what are 30-year-old mums from Thanet talking about in their when they're picking the kids up from school. Like, it's those things.
Culturally relevant and timely, I feel, is like an extreme version of the first point, which is relevant and relatable. You're like, it's not just relevant and relatable, but it's relevant right now, really specifically to something.
Yeah. And we did things like tapping into Game of Thrones when season 8 was launched, or Dancing on Ice, the things that were happening each week. We did a whole load of content around that. So that's another one. And the final point,
knickknacks.
Yes, it is actually, is nostalgic. So that sounds mental that you were saying that, but this makes sense. So something we found, again, works really well is integrating nostalgia into campaigns. So, you know, like nostalgia when people think of the good old times. So what do you remember, Lloyd, when you were younger?
I remember knickknacks.
You do remember knickknacks?
Yeah.
What are knickknacks?
They're a really tasty maize-based crisp
ribbon
snack.
saucy or?
I'm more of a cream and cheesy, but I know that's controversial. I think ribbons...
nice and spicy is another one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Anyway... it's making the nostalgia perfect for the target audience. So if you're thinking, oh, people's in their 30s and 40s, the knickknacks, by the way, is a weird example because it's one we've used.
We didn't explain why that fits into anything.
Yeah. So people in their 30s, I'd say, and maybe 40s would remember in their lunchbox as a kid, knickknacks and that sort of thing. So we mentioned it in one of our
sketches for
our
sketches,
and I can't remember exactly what context, but that we worked out that really boosted.
Most of the comments were, "Oh my god, I remember knickknacks,"
because of the engagement we got from that one line, which probably made up 0.01% of the whole video.
I reckon 0.02.
Okay, yeah, quick math, yeah. The engagement we got from that really helped it reach more and more people and more of the relevant people. And I think most people would think that is just crazy and not true. Like, why would mentioning knickknacks in something promoting a marketing agency have that positive effect? But that's what we're saying about nostalgia. You know exactly who you're trying to target, and you're picking some really relevant nostalgic stuff for them that they're going to engage with.
This isn't nostalgia, but this is a random example of why small details matter. One of our clients, we did a campaign where we did loads of video content, and we basically, as part of the campaign, we had this hunky guy and we said, he'll deliver it for you. And one of the most of the comments on that thing are like, oh, I want the hunky guy to deliver it for me. I know it's not nostalgia, but it just shows like the small details when you're planning your marketing are really important.
Definitely. There's a lot of stuff and lines and very small elements we put into ads that are there because we know it's going to drive engagement, which will
help
which will mean we're going to get cheaper cost per clicks, cheaper video views, because the platform it's on is going to think this is great because people are engaging with it.
Yeah, so they're the 6 things that make this type of thing work. I think the final thing to talk about is
7.
Oh, was it 7? Was it 7?
No. You said 6, and then you said the final thing. So I thought 7.
This is another.
Another.
I didn't finish what I was saying. The final thing I want to talk about, Lloyd, is how do people apply this to their own marketing?
Which is a separate numbering
It's a
system.
separate numbering system.
I see. Okay.
This is like a separate segment.
Right. Not 7 then, guys. There was 6 in that one. And now it's a new numbering
adding
system.
a lot to this podcast. Thank you for...
That's okay. So, Dan, in this separate segment, what can listeners do to try this new approach to marketing?
And that sounds like something I'd write for you to ask me, which is strange.
Yeah, it does.
So 5 key steps, Lloyd, just 5.
Okay.
And then we've got a final segment.
Right, we're allowed to say other things after we number things,
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean we
Yeah.
have to add to the numbers. Okay.
Okay, so here's 5 simple steps you can take to apply this method to your own marketing. Number 1, outline and research who you want to target, your target market. And again, don't go surface level with age and where they live. Really understand who they are. And if you don't understand, and there's a couple of tips I've got for you. 1, if you know anyone, a friend, a colleague, a family member who's in that target market, go and interview them. Ask them what they talk about with their mates in their WhatsApp group. Ask them what type of language they use. Ask them about what they talk about when they pick the kids up from school. So that's one like cost-effective way of basically doing a focus group, but without paying anyone. The next thing would be to actually do a focus group and speak to your target market that you've probably got to pay for. But definitely get to know those people. That's number 1. That's hugely, hugely important. Really understand who they are. Number 2, once you've then understand that person, create a bit of a kind of mind map, or on a flip chart, draw that person in the center, then draw arrows out from that person and come up with things that they're currently talking about. You know, what films are they watching? What music are they listening to? What TV are they tweeting about? What TV shows are they tweeting about? And really draw, like mind map a picture of this person and what they're currently interested in right now. And then once you've done that, then pick out one of those ideas, one of the things they're interested in, and try to come up with a piece of content you can create that integrates what you do and that topic. So for example, if you're an accountant and you know that your audience are currently watching Doctor Who and are really interested in it, just talking about Doctor Who isn't good enough. Because then you're just a random person talking about Doctor Who.
And because Doctor Who is shit.
And because Doctor Who's shit. It is. I used to watch it when it was good, but it's... Anyway. So that's not good enough. What you need to do is think, how can you integrate that with something you do? So for example, maybe you could... I'm just making this up on the spot, so it's probably going to be shit. Maybe you could... if you're an accountant, you could do a post that unpacks all of the costs that go into making Doctor Who. That's kind of related.
Yeah. I know where you're going.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know where I'm going with this?
There'd be more details you need to think about,
Yeah.
but that's a direction. Yeah.
But something that you can...
How a Doctor Who production could be more tax efficient.
Yes. Well done, Lloyd. This is why you're the ideas man.
Thank
so there
you.
you go. Great idea. So you come up with your idea. Step number 4 is create a piece of content. This could be a LinkedIn post. It could be a blog. It could be a podcast. Whatever you're good at creating currently, create a piece of content in that format around this. Okay.
And normally it can be either end of the scale. So that could literally be one LinkedIn text-based post, or it could be a 20-minute video that's really high production, talking through all this stuff with a presentation, all sorts of stuff, and be really highly educational and in-depth, or anywhere in between.
And the final step is post it, learn from it, and then repeat that process. So just to warn you all, this first post or piece of content you create around Doctor Who and how to be more tax efficient, it's probably going to flop. Just like when we posted weird videos of beached whales and all the rubbish stuff we used to do, it flopped. As in, one person might have liked it, lucky to get a comment. But when you do this process repeatedly over a consistent period of time, one of those things is going to blow up. One of those things is, just like our testimonials video, you're going to find your niche. You're going to find your type of content that works really well for you. And once you find that thing, then you've got kind of an anchor point of, right, we know this works. Let's create more variations of that. Maybe do other TV shows or maybe do a whole series.
And it's like a double positive because, like you said, one thing will blow up and get loads of views and create leads and that sort of thing. So you'll get that instant hit of, oh, that's great for my business. But also you'll get the gradual positive effect of, honing in on what works and what doesn't, and gradually improving what you're doing over time and repeating that. So the gradual uplift in what you're doing, as well as that, I found that one that's really blown up.
Definitely. And I guess just to summarize for people who listen and want to actually take notes and action this, I'm just going to quickly reel off those 5 key actions. So 1, outline and research your target market. 2, create a mind map of ideas and things that they're interested in currently. 3, pick one of those things they're interested in and come up with a content idea that integrates that interest and something you do. 4, create a piece of content and post it. 5, analyze the results, learn from that, and repeat that whole process. And that's what you do.
It's brilliant. And if there's anyone that wants to learn more about this, get better at this kind of approach, is there anyone else other than us that people should be kind of listening to, or places they should go for information on this sort of approach?
Yes, there is, Lloyd. There's a few. So let me start off with marketingexamples.com. That is a really cool website with loads of case studies showing really effective marketing campaigns. Like, do you remember there was the Burger King case study, the FIFA Burger King case study that you read
really
about and loved?
Yeah.
There's a whole load of examples of this working on that site. There's another lady called Marketing with Sam on TikTok who's got some really great tools and things she shares. The kind of OGs of this are Chamber Media, Travis Chambers, who has been a big inspiration to us. Go check out their website, chamber.media, and they've got some really cool case studies showing how they've done this on a much bigger, like, Super Bowl ad level. Another one, Matt Navarra's email newsletter called, you can go to getreview.co/profile/geekout. That's his weekly Geek Out newsletter. That it basically gives you all of the updates on all the social channels that will feed into this strategy of knowing what to do, which is really useful. Steve Bartlett's podcast, The Diary of a CEO. You laughing because I said Steve Podcast?
Steve Podlett's Bartcast.
And the final 2 things is this podcast, because we talk about stuff like this, but you're already listening to it.
We do. Well done for already listening to that.
And also, finally, the Friday Club. I know we've spoken about it before, but the Friday Club is the weekly email we send every Friday with all the best content we've consumed and created each week. And you can sign up to that by going to bit.ly/the-Friday-Club. And it's all lowercase, and it's a really good email that you can receive each week.
What a brilliant value-adding episode you've put together there, Dan.
Thanks.
And I'd just like to point
to
out to all of our regular listeners, because I was ill last week and still recovering, Dan did nearly all the work towards this episode.
I don't know if you can tell.
So if you've enjoyed it, comment and message Dan saying, good job, it was nearly as good as when Lloyd does work.
Or even better, tell your friends about the podcast to get more listeners, because that's probably more valuable than people just messaging me saying that.
Probably is. Probably is, Dan.
And on that note,
thank you for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week for another episode of the Business Anchors podcast.